I walked into our bedroom and saw her perfume on his dresser, a scent I'd never worn. My name is Rachel, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around how my perfect life turned into a nightmare. For 10 years, I thought I had it all with David, my high school sweetheart, the man who promised me forever. We built a home together, laughed over late-night pizza, and even started talking about kids. But last spring, everything I believed in crumbled. It started with small things. David was staying late at work more often, saying his new project was demanding. I trusted him. Why wouldn't I? He was the guy who'd leave me little notes on the fridge, who'd hold my hand during scary movies. But then I noticed he was different, distant, always on his phone, smiling at texts he wouldn't share. I brushed it off as stress, but deep down, something felt wrong. Then came the day I found it, a sleek bottle of perfume on his dresser. It was floral, expensive, not mine. I wear citrus scents, always have. My heart sank as I held the bottle, my mind racing. Whose was it? I asked him that night, trying to keep my voice steady. He laughed it off, said it was a gift for his mom. But his mom lives across the country, and she's allergic to perfume. The lie was so obvious it stung. I started paying attention. His work trips were vague, his stories didn't add up. One night, he said he was meeting a client, but I saw his car parked at a hotel downtown. My hands trembled as I sat in my car, watching him walk in with a woman, tall, brunette, wearing that floral scent. I didn't confront him. Not yet. I needed proof, something undeniable. I went through his laptop when he was asleep. My fingers shook as I opened his email. There it was, reservations for a weekend getaway, booked for David and Lauren. Lauren. The name hit me like a punch. Messages from her filled his inbox, flirty, intimate, like they were planning a life together. I can't wait to wake up next to you, one said. I felt like I couldn't breathe. I spent weeks gathering evidence, pretending everything was fine while my heart broke every day. I found receipts for dinners I never ate, gifts I never received. He'd been living a double life, and I was the fool who didn't see it. When I finally confronted him, I laid it all out: the perfume, the emails, the hotel. His face went white. He admitted it. Lauren was his coworker, someone he'd been seeing for over a year. He said he still loved me, that it was a mistake, but how do you trust someone after that? I kicked him out that night, packed his bags, and told him to leave. He begged, cried, said he'd end it with her, but I couldn't even look at him. Now, I'm alone in our house, surrounded by memories of a life that feels like a lie. The photos on the walls, the plans we made, they mock me every day. I keep asking myself, how did I miss it? Were there signs I ignored? And the hardest question of all, can I ever move on from this? I'm not sure what's next. Part of me wants to fight for answers, to understand why he threw us away. Another part just wants to let go, to rebuild myself from the ground up. I know I deserve better, but knowing and feeling are two different things. Every night, I lie awake, wondering if I'll ever trust again, if I'll ever feel whole. This is my story, and I'm still figuring out how it ends. I thought kicking him out would end the pain, but then I got a message from her, the woman who ruined my marriage. I found her perfume, her emails, her lies woven into our life. I kicked him out, thinking that would be the end of it. But here's the thing about heartbreak, it doesn't just stop when you close the door. It lingers like a shadow you can't shake. And just when I thought I was starting to heal, something happened that made everything so much worse. The first few weeks after David left were a blur. I stayed with my best friend, Mia, because our house felt like a museum of broken promises. Every corner reminded me of him, our coffee mugs, the couch we'd binge shows on, the bed we'd dreamed in. I couldn't sleep. I'd lie awake, replaying every moment of our marriage, wondering where it went wrong. Was it me? Was I not enough? I hated myself for even thinking that, but the thoughts wouldn't stop. Mia was a godsend. She'd make me tea, listen to me cry, and gently push me to get out of bed. "You're stronger than this," she'd say. I didn't believe her, but I tried. I started small, going for walks, deleting David's old texts, boxing up his stuff. I even went back to our house to sort through it. That's when I found something else, a small velvet box hidden in his sock drawer. Inside was a ring, not my wedding ring, but a new one, with a diamond bigger than anything he'd ever given me. My stomach twisted. Was this for Lauren? Had he planned to propose to her? I slammed the box shut, my hands shaking. I didn't want answers, but I needed them. Then came the message that changed everything. It was a random Tuesday, and I was scrolling through my phone, trying to distract myself. An unknown number popped up in my inbox. The message was short. "Rachel, this is Lauren. We need to talk." "It's not what you think." My heart stopped. Lauren, the woman who'd been in my husband's arms, in my life, without me knowing. Why was she contacting me? I wanted to delete it, block her, pretend she didn't exist. But curiosity, or maybe anger, got the better of me. I replied, "What do you want?" She asked to meet at a coffee shop. Against my better judgment, I went. I don't know what I expected, some glamorous villain, maybe, or a smug homewrecker. But Lauren wasn't that. She was ordinary. Tired eyes, nervous hands, a plain sweater. She looked as broken as I felt. I didn't know he was married, she said, her voice low. Not at first. My blood boiled. I wanted to scream, but I let her talk. She said David told her he was separated, that I'd moved out years ago. He'd spun a whole story about being a lonely guy, ready to start over. She showed me texts, his lies, word for word, painting me as the ex who'd left him behind. I felt sick, but I kept listening. Lauren said she found out about me 6 months into their relationship when she saw a photo of us on his phone. She confronted him, and he swore he was filing for divorce. She believed him until she saw us together at a grocery store, laughing like a normal couple. That's when she realized he was playing us both. She ended it, or so she thought, but David kept contacting her, promising he'd leave me for good. "I'm so sorry," she said, tears in her eyes. "I didn't want to hurt you. I didn't know what to feel." Part of me wanted to hate her, to blame her for everything. But looking at her, I saw someone else he'd lied to, someone else he'd hurt. I told her about the ring. Her face went pale. "He showed me that ring," she whispered. "He said it was for me." We sat there, two strangers bound by the same betrayal, piecing together the truth. David hadn't just cheated, he'd built a double life, manipulating us both. I left the coffee shop numb. I didn't know whether to feel relieved or angrier. Lauren wasn't the enemy, but knowing that didn't make the pain go away. If anything, it made it worse. How could someone I loved so deeply be so cruel? I went home and stared at that ring, turning it over in my hands. It wasn't just a piece of jewelry, it was a symbol of every lie he'd told. I wanted to throw it out, but instead, I put it in a drawer. Maybe one day I'd sell it, use it to start over. But not yet. The next few months were about rebuilding. I started therapy, something I never thought I'd need. My therapist helped me see that David's choices weren't about me, they were about his own insecurities, his need for control. I began to let go of the guilt, the questions about what I could have done differently. I redecorated the house, painted the walls a bright yellow to chase away the shadows. I even adopted a cat, a little tabby named Luna, who curls up next to me at night. Slowly, I started feeling like myself again, not the old Rachel, but a new one, stronger, wiser. Then David showed up. It was a rainy evening, 6 months after I'd kicked him out. He stood on my porch, looking like a lost puppy. "I made a mistake," he said. "I ended things with Lauren. I want us back." I stared at him, the man I'd loved for a decade, and felt nothing. Not anger, not love, just emptiness. I told him it was over, that I deserved better. He begged, said he'd change, but I closed the door. For the first time, I felt free. I'm still healing. Some days are harder than others, but I'm learning to trust myself again. I've started painting, something I loved as a kid, but gave up for real life. I'm even thinking about traveling, maybe a solo trip to Italy, somewhere David and I never went. I don't know what the future holds, but I know I'm done letting his lies define me. This is my story now, and I'm writing the next chapter. If you've been following my story, you know I've been through it, finding out my husband of 10 years, David, was cheating with his coworker Lauren, confronting them both, and finally kicking him out. I thought shutting the door on him that rainy night was my final step toward freedom. I was wrong. Healing isn't a straight line, and just when I thought I was moving forward, something pulled me right back into the mess. It's been 3 months since I told David to leave for good. I've been trying to rebuild piece by piece. My house feels different now, brighter with the yellow walls I painted, warmer with Luna, my tabby cat, purring beside me. Therapy's been helping too. I'm learning to let go of the guilt, to stop asking why I wasn't enough. I even started painting again, splashing colors on canvas like I did as a kid. It feels good, like I'm rediscovering parts of myself I'd forgotten. But then, last week, I found something that shook me to my core. I was cleaning out the garage, sorting through boxes of old memories, photo albums, vacation souvenirs, stuff I hadn't touched in years. Tucked inside a book we'd bought on our honeymoon was an envelope with my name on it, in David's handwriting. My heart raced. I almost tore it up, but my hands moved faster than my brain. I opened it. Inside was a letter, dated a month before I found Lauren's perfume. It wasn't long, but every word hit like a brick. Rachel, it started, I don't know how to say this, but I'm scared. I've been lying to you, and it's eating me alive. I want to fix us, but I don't know if I can. I'm not the man you think I am. He went on, admitting he'd been lost for years, feeling trapped by our routine, by expectations he couldn't name. He didn't mention Lauren, but he wrote about his fear of losing me, how he'd started pulling away because he didn't know how to be honest. The last line gutted me, I love you, but I don't know how to be the husband you deserve. I sat there on the garage floor, tears streaming down my face. Part of me wanted to scream, why didn't he tell me this then? Why let it spiral into betrayal? But another part, the part one hate admitting exists, felt a pang of pity. Not for him, but for the version of us I thought we were. I didn't want him back, God, no, but that letter reopened wounds I'd been trying to stitch closed. It made me question everything again. Was there a moment we could have saved us? Did I miss something? I called Mia, my rock through all this. She came over with wine and listened as I read the letter aloud. He's manipulating you, she said. Even now, he's trying to make you feel sorry for him. I wanted to argue, but deep down, I knew she was right. David always had a way of twisting things, making his mistakes someone else's burden. I burned the letter that night, watching the flames curl around his words. It felt like letting go, but not completely. Then came the next twist. A few days later, I got a call from a mutual friend, Tom, who'd been out of touch for a while. He sounded nervous. Rachel, there's something you should know, he said. Apparently, David had been telling people I was the one who ended things, that I'd pushed him away with my demands. He was spinning a story to our friends, painting himself as the victim. I was livid. After everything, his lies, his affair, he was rewriting our story to save face. Worse, some people believed him. I started getting texts from acquaintances, asking if I was okay or if I needed to talk. It was humiliating. I wanted to confront him, to scream the truth, but my therapist's words echoed in my head. Don't let him pull you back into his chaos. So instead, I did something I hadn't done in years. I reached out to our old friends, the ones we drifted from during our marriage. I invited them over, shared my side, not to gossip, but to reclaim my story. Some apologized for believing David's lies. Others admitted they'd seen his charm slip over the years. It felt good to be heard, to know I wasn't alone. But the drama didn't stop there. One evening, I was at a local art class, something I'd started to get out of the house, when I ran into Lauren. Yeah, that Lauren. The coffee shop meeting had been awkward enough, but seeing her in my new space felt like a violation. She was there with a friend, holding a canvas, looking as surprised as I was. I wanted to bolt, but she approached me. "Rachel, I'm so sorry," she said. "I didn't know you'd be here." I nodded, unsure what to say. Then she added, "I heard David's been talking about you." I told people the truth. "I hope that's okay." I was stunned. Lauren, of all people, was defending me? She explained she'd overheard David at a bar, bragging about how he'd moved on from me. She called him out, told everyone he'd lied to her too. I didn't know whether to thank her or cry. Instead, I just said, "I'm trying to move forward. I don't want him in my life anymore." She nodded, like she understood. For the first time, I saw her not as the other woman, but as someone trying to heal, just like me. That moment shifted something. I realized I wasn't just fighting David's lies, I was fighting for my own peace. I threw myself into painting, started a blog about my art, even posted a few pieces online. To my surprise, people loved them. Strangers commented, saying my work felt raw, real. One gallery even reached out, asking to feature my pieces in a local showcase. It's small, but it's mine, a step toward a life I'm building without David's shadow. I still have hard days. Sometimes I'll see a couple holding hands and feel a pang, wondering if I'll ever trust someone again. But I'm learning to love the woman I'm becoming. I'm not the Rachel who trusted blindly, who ignored red flags to keep the peace. I'm stronger, fiercer, and I'm writing my own story now. David's letter, his lies, Lauren's perfume, they're part of my past, but they don't define my future. I'm not sure what's next, but for the first time in a long time, I'm excited to find out. I found her perfume, his secret emails, and a ring that wasn't meant for me. I kicked him out, confronted the lies he spread to our friends, and even burned a letter he wrote confessing his doubts about our marriage. I thought I was moving on, painting, blogging, finding my own strength. My art was gaining traction, and a local gallery had just offered to showcase my work. For the first time in months, I felt like I was stepping into a new version of myself. But then, a knock at my door changed everything. It was a Saturday morning, and I was sipping coffee, Luna curled up on the couch. The doorbell rang, and I assumed it was Mia dropping by unannounced, like she sometimes does. Instead, I opened the door to a woman I'd never seen before, mid-30s, sharp eyes, holding a manila envelope. "Are you Rachel?" she asked, her voice steady but urgent. I nodded, confused. "My name's Karen. I worked with David. There's something you need to know." My stomach dropped. I didn't want more of his secrets, but I couldn't shut the door. I invited her in. Karen sat across from me, clutching the envelope like it was a lifeline. She explained she'd been David's colleague at his old firm before he switched jobs last year. He wasn't just involved with Lauren, she said, her words careful but heavy. There were others. My heart sank, but I wasn't surprised. Not anymore. She slid the envelope toward me. Inside were printouts, emails, receipts, even a photo of David at a bar with another woman, one I didn't recognize. Karen said she'd found these when cleaning out an old company server. "I didn't know if I should tell you," she admitted. But after I heard what he did, I couldn't stay silent. I stared at the papers, my hands trembling. The emails weren't just flirty, they were calculated, like David was running a playbook. He'd told this other woman, someone named Emily, the same lies he'd told Lauren, that he was separated, that I was out of the picture. The receipts showed dinners, hotel stays, even a weekend trip I'd never known about. The photo was the worst. David laughing with Emily, his arm around her, the same charming smile he'd used on me for years. I felt like I was back in that garage, reading his letter, except this time, the betrayal cut deeper. How many lives had he tangled in his lies? I asked Karen why she was doing this. She sighed, looking away. David cost me my job, she said. Apparently, he'd taken credit for a project she'd led, and when she called him out, he turned the team against her, painting her as unreliable. She'd been let go and only recently pieced together how he'd manipulated everyone around him. He's not who people think he is, she said. I thought you deserved the truth. I thanked her, but after she left, I felt hollow. I didn't cry, not this time. I was too angry, too tired of being the one left picking up the pieces. I called Mia, and she came over immediately. We went through the envelope together, sorting through the evidence like detectives. He's a narcissist, Mia said, tossing a receipt on the table. He thrives on control. She was right, but it didn't make it easier. I'd spent years loving a man who didn't exist, a man who'd built a web of deception around everyone he knew. I decided to confront David one last time, not for him, but for me. I needed closure, needed to look him in the eye and see who he really was. I texted him to meet me at a park near our old house, somewhere public where I'd feel safe. He showed up, looking nervous, his usual charm replaced by something uneasy. I didn't waste time. I laid out everything: Karen's evidence, the emails, the photo. How many were there? I asked, my voice steady. He tried to dodge, saying it was complicated, that he'd been lost. But I pressed, and he admitted there'd been 3 women, including Lauren and Emily, over the last 2 years. He swore it was over, that he was working on himself. I almost laughed. His words meant nothing anymore. I told him I was done, not just with him, but with the version of me who'd believed his lies. I walked away, leaving him standing there, his excuses fading into the wind. That moment felt like a weight lifting. I wasn't his victim anymore. I was Rachel, artist, survivor, someone who was finally free. The gallery showcase was a week later, and it was a turning point. I stood in front of my paintings, vibrant abstracts that poured out my pain and hope, and watched strangers connect with them. A few pieces sold, and the gallery owner asked if I'd consider a solo exhibition. I said yes, my heart racing with possibility. I started posting more on my blog, sharing not just my art, but my story, raw, honest, without naming David. The response was overwhelming. Women from all over commented, sharing their own stories of betrayal and healing. I realized I wasn't alone, and that gave me strength. I also reached out to Karen, thanking her for her courage. We met for coffee, and she opened up about her own struggles rebuilding her career, learning to trust again. We weren't friends, not exactly, but there was a bond, a shared understanding of what it meant to survive someone like David. I even saw Lauren again at the art class. We didn't talk much, but there was a quiet respect between us. She was taking steps to move on too, focusing on her own healing. My life isn't perfect now. I still have moments where the pain creeps in, where I wonder if I'll ever fully trust again. But I'm not defined by David's betrayal anymore. I'm painting, creating, connecting with people who see the real me. I've booked that solo trip to Italy, something I never would have done before. It's scary, but it's mine, a chance to write a new chapter, one where I'm the hero of my own story. I don't know what's next, but I'm ready to find out.